More than 1 in 4 adults experiencing these brain fog symptoms regularly. Brain fog is common, but we need to stop pretending that it's normal. Brain fog is not laziness. It is not a lack of intelligence, and it doesn't mean you're just getting older. The fog is your brain protecting you from the noise. Have you noticed lately that you, and honestly, almost everyone around you, are just waking up completely tired?
Oh, yeah, constantly.
Right. And I don't just mean physically tired. I mean completely mentally exhausted.
Like a profound heaviness.
Yes, exactly. You open your eyes, you've slept for 8 hours, but it feels like your brain just, well, refuses to fully turn on.
It is a very specific, deeply physical kind of heaviness. Simple decisions, like what to wear or what to make for breakfast, they suddenly feel like you're lifting weights.
Yeah,
And coffee isn't a luxury anymore to enjoy. It's an immediate, desperate crutch just to feel somewhat human.
exactly that feeling. It's like trying to move your thoughts through molasses. And if you're feeling this right now as you listen to us, I really want to tell you that you are absolutely not alone. You are seen.
Because it is incredibly common now.
It is. According to recent public health research, more than 1 in 4 adults now report experiencing these brain fog symptoms regularly. We're talking poor concentration, absolute mental fatigue, forgetfulness, and just a total lack of clarity.
The really alarming part of that statistic, though, isn't just the number, it's how completely normalized it has become.
Right, we just accept it.
Exactly. We just accept that waking up feeling hollowed out is, the cost of doing business in the modern world.
We really do. But before we get into the exact biological mechanics of why this is happening to you, I want to warmly welcome you to the episode. We're so incredibly grateful for this community, for you tuning in and sharing your valuable time with us.
We really are.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you these conversations. Welcome to the Living Better podcast. Remember, living longer is a science. Living better is a choice.
Keeping with that science, I do need to share a quick medical disclaimer here. This episode is for educational and wellness purposes only and is not medical advice.
Always important to state.
Right. Persistent or severe brain fog can sometimes be linked to underlying medical conditions. This includes sleep disorders, hormonal issues, nutritional deficiencies, neurological conditions, anxiety, depression, or post-viral syndromes. So, if your symptoms are ongoing or worsening, please talk with a qualified healthcare professional.
Thank you for that. So, the mission for today's episode is incredibly simple, but it's vital. Brain fog is common, but we need to stop pretending that it's normal.
It is definitely not normal.
Your brain was not designed by evolution to wake up to glaring blue light, flooded with cortisol, entirely dehydrated, and instantly stressed. So today we are bringing you 10 highly practical morning habits in chronological order of how your morning unfolds to restore your mental clarity.
And I promise you, there is no unrealistic, what do they call it? Wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate on a freezing mountain nonsense here.
Oh, I hate that stuff.
Right. These are real biological tools for real life. Because brain fog isn't a random curse. It's almost always a biological response to your environment and your habits.
And we need to establish right up front that brain fog is not laziness. It is not a lack of intelligence. And it doesn't mean you're just getting older. Often, it's purely a lack of recovery.
Yeah, poor sleep and poor recovery completely shatter cognitive performance.
Think about it like this. People normalize forgetting words mid-sentence or having to reread a single email like 3 times to understand it. They shrug and say, well, this is just adulthood.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like driving a car with a completely mud-splattered windshield. Instead of pulling over to clean the glass, you just accept that the whole world is supposed to look blurry.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. You're squinting, straining, getting a headache from the sheer effort of navigating, completely unaware that a clear, vibrant view is actually possible if you just wipe away the buildup.
So let's pull the car over and start cleaning the glass. Let's look at the very first moments of your day. The source material points to the exact moment your eyes open.
The collision.
Exactly. For most of us, the very first action is reaching for that screen to check social media or read emails. And that's habit number one, no phone for the first 20 minutes.
This is where the biological collision happens. When you're asleep, your brain operates in slow delta and theta wave states. As you wake up naturally, it's supposed to transition smoothly into an alpha state, relaxed but alert.
Oh, yeah.
But the moment you open your phone and see an urgent email or a stressful news alert, you bypass alpha entirely and shock your brain into a high alert beta state.
Look, everyone listening knows they shouldn't doom scroll at 7 a.m.
Right.
We aren't here to give a generic productivity lecture, but I have to ask, if we all know it's bad, why is it our primal instinct to reach for the device?
It's not a moral failing, it's neurochemistry. Your brain wakes up slightly dopamine depleted, and it knows that glowing rectangle provides an instant dopamine hit.
Ah, so it's a quick fix.
Exactly. But by giving in, your brain is instantly hijacked into reactive mode. You aren't entering your own day, you are entering everyone else's. The research links this exact early morning smart device used directly to higher levels of subjective cognitive fatigue later in the afternoon.
Wow.
You are literally draining the battery of your attention before you've even unplugged from the wall.
So if the phone hijacks our psychological state, we have to look at the physical state of the brain itself. Which brings us to habit number 2, hydrate before caffeine.
Yes.
We wake up neurologically panicked by the screen, but we also wake up physically desiccated. The human brain is roughly 73% water. You've just gone 7 or 8 hours without a single drop of fluid.
Even mild dehydration thickens your blood slightly, which means it takes more effort to deliver oxygen to your brain cells. That lack of oxygen and cellular hydration completely tanks your concentration.
But wait, I know I'm thirsty. And my primal instinct, the moment I stumble out of bed, is to head straight to the kitchen for coffee. I mean, coffee has water in it. Why does drinking a giant glass of water before caffeine actually change things?
It's a very fair question. Let's look at the mechanism. When you drink coffee, the caffeine blocks adenosine, the chemical that makes you feel sleepy.
Right.
But it also stimulates your adrenal glands to pump out adrenaline and cortisol. If your body is deeply dehydrated, it is already in a state of mild physiological stress.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah. Hitting an empty, dehydrated system with a massive stimulant spike is like telling your nervous system, "Good morning, panic." It forces artificial energy out of an empty vessel.
It's like revving a car engine when there's absolutely no oil in it.
Exactly. You're creating friction and heat, not sustainable power. You need to drink a large glass of water first, maybe add some electrolytes if you need them, to support your cellular energy naturally, rehydrate the tissue, and thin the blood for oxygen delivery.
And then you can have the coffee.
Then you can enjoy your coffee without inducing a panic attack.
All right, so we've protected our attention from the phone, and we've rehydrated our brain cells. The next biological step is signaling to our body that the day has actually begun. Habit number 3, get morning sunlight.
This is so crucial.
The sources highlight morning sunlight as perhaps the most underrated brain habit on Earth, getting just 5 to 10 minutes of natural light outside.
The brain is entirely dependent on rhythm, specifically the circadian rhythm. Inside your eyes, you have these specific cells called melanopsin ganglion cells. Their primary job isn't even vision.
Wait, really?
Yeah. It's simply to detect light and communicate directly with the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in your brain.
So when natural photons hit those specific cells, what exactly is happening to the brain fog?
It triggers a massive cascade. It instantly suppresses melatonin, the sleep hormone that makes you feel groggy, and it triggers a healthy natural spike in cortisol, the cortisol awakening response. It tells every cell in your body, we are awake. But even more importantly, setting that morning clock is what secures better sleep later that night. A clear mind requires routine. This is wake time. This is rest time. Chaos confuses the brain. Rhythm stabilizes it.
And as we're establishing that biological rhythm, We have to be fiercely protective of our psychological rhythm, which leads to habit number 4, stop starting the day with negative input.
Because mornings are incredibly psychologically sticky.
Sticky is a great way to put it. Because you are still transitioning out of those deeper brainwave states, your subconscious is incredibly impressionable.
Right. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is essentially looking for cues on how to assess the day.
Right, so if you consume stress immediately, doom scrolling through the news, reading a passive-aggressive text, watching videos about an impending financial collapse, you are cementing that threat into your nervous system.
Precisely. If you feed the amygdala a threat at 7:30 a.m., it flags the entire day as dangerous. A fearful or outraged start doesn't just pass when you put the phone down, it lingers in your neurochemistry for hours.
Yeah.
You carry that heavy, frantic, defensive energy into every meeting and interaction.
We have to protect those first 15 to 20 minutes. Put on music, stretch on the floor, just breathe while the coffee brews. Anything is better than engaging in digital warfare before you've even brushed your teeth.
Exactly. Don't rent out your cognitive real estate to outrage. Protect the space.
Protect the space. And once we've protected the space, we need to talk about the actual fuel we give our bodies to sustain focus. We have to look at breakfast, which brings us to habit number 5. Eat a breakfast that doesn't destroy focus.
The infamous breakfast crash. We've all done it.
We eat something that's basically a dessert disguised as cereal or a massive pastry, and it creates this intense blood sugar spike.
Let's unpack the mechanism of that crash. When you eat a heavy load of simple carbohydrates, your blood glucose skyrockets. In response, your pancreas panics and dumps a massive amount of insulin into your blood to clear the sugar. It overcorrects.
And that overcorrection is the crash.
Yes. The insulin clears the sugar so rapidly that your blood glucose plummets below baseline. Your brain, which relies exclusively on glucose for energy, is suddenly starving.
And how does that feel us?
Shakiness, profound physical fatigue, irritability, and absolute mental cloudiness. Contrast that with eating a breakfast built around protein, fiber, and healthy fats that creates a slow, stable release of energy.
But I want to bring up a massive nuance here, because intermittent fasting is everywhere. So many high performers swear by fasting for ultimate mental clarity, claiming that digesting food steals energy from the brain.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Yes, avoiding an ultra-processed, sugar-heavy breakfast will absolutely cure your fog. And yes, for some individuals, fasting provides incredible mental sharpness because it triggers gluconeogenesis, the body making its own glucose.
Okay, so it does work.
It does, but we have to stop treating fasting like a religion. It is simply a tool.
And the tool doesn't work for every single job.
Yeah.
Why would fasting cause brain fog for someone? Why does cortisol care if I've eaten?
Because if you are a person dealing with chronic stress, poor sleep, or hormonal imbalances, fasting for too long in the morning is interpreted by your body as a threat.
Wow.
It triggers a massive cortisol overload because the body perceives the lack of food as an additional stressor on top of your exhaustion.
Yeah.
The ultimate metric for whether you should eat breakfast or fast isn't what your favorite influencer does.
Right.
The only metric that matters is asking yourself, how does my brain actually feel?
Okay.
If fasting makes you jittery, anxious, and foggy, it is the wrong tool for your nervous system right now.
That is so freeing to hear. We really need to listen to our own bodies, which naturally brings us to the physical body itself. And habit number 6, move your body before your brain shuts down.
Yeah.
It's a remarkably simple truth that we somehow completely forget when we're trying to outthink our fatigue. The brain is a physical organ.
We truly do treat ourselves like floating brains in jars, as if our bodies are just vehicles to carry our heads to the next meeting.
But the brain makes up only about 2% of our body weight, yet it consumes 20% of our energy and oxygen. If you just go for a brisk walk or do some light stretching, you increase your heart rate. What does that actually do to the fog?
It's all about vascular health. Movement triggers the release of nitric oxide, which dilates your blood vessels. It pumps freshly oxygenated blood straight into your cerebral cortex.
So when we just sit,
When your physical body stagnates, when you sit perfectly still in an office chair for 4 hours, your blood flow literally slows down. The mind stagnates right along with it. Movement is quite literally medicine for the mind, purely through oxygen delivery.
okay, so our blood is flowing, our brain is oxygenated, and we sit down to work. This is where we have to fiercely protect our attention from clutter. The source's challenge is to habit number 7, create a no multitasking morning.
This one is painful because multitasking feels so culturally ingrained. We view it as a badge of honor.
It really does. Paint this picture. You have a podcast playing in the background, your email inbox is open, you're texting a friend back, and you're trying to write a report, all at the exact same time.
It feels incredibly productive.
You feel like you're conquering the day.
You feel productive, but neurologically, you are rapidly destroying your attention systems. Let's use an analogy. Think of your brain's focused attention like a flashlight.
Okay.
Multitasking isn't magically widening the beam to illuminate the whole room. It is rapidly flicking the flashlight between 5 different dark corners.
And what's the biological cost of flicking that light?
It's called the cognitive switching cost. Every single time you shift your focus from the email to the text message, your prefrontal cortex has to disengage, reconfigure its rule set, and re-engage with the new task.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. That switching burns massive amounts of glucose. A foggy brain is very rarely an underused brain. It is almost always an overloaded one that has burned through its energy purely through the friction of context switching.
So the challenge is to do just one thing at a time for the first hour of your day. Read the email. Just read the email. Reply to the email. Close the email. Open the document. It sounds simple, but it is deeply uncomfortable for a modern brain addicted to fragmentation.
It is uncomfortable, but if you want clarity, you have to stop fracturing your attention.
And part of stopping that fracture is getting the clutter out of your head. Which brings us to habit number 8. Write down your top 3 priorities. We're externalizing the chaos.
Yes, because mental clutter literally equals mental fatigue. We have to understand that working memory is severely limited. When your brain is trying to actively juggle an argument from yesterday, work deadlines, paying the electric bill, and what you need to buy at the grocery store, it is trying to act as a storage unit.
And the brain is a terrible storage unit. It is meant to be a thinking workbench, a processing tool.
Exactly. When you hold all of that in your mind, you suffer from the Zeigarnik effect, where uncompleted tasks constantly interrupt your conscious thoughts, draining your energy.
So by writing down exactly 3 priorities, not a massive paralyzing to-do list of 20 items, just 3, you immediately reduce decision fatigue. You don't have to constantly ask yourself, what should I be doing right now?
Right, you already know.
The clarity you're looking for usually comes from simplification, not from drumming up sheer motivation. Motivation fades. Clarity remains.
Simplification is the ultimate antidote to overwhelm. Which brings us to the final piece of the morning puzzle, the ultimate antidote to modernity. Habit number 9, stop overstimulating your brain all morning.
Think about the sheer volume of inputs we subject ourselves to. Most people consume more raw stimulation before 9 a.m. through rapid-fire reels, podcasts on double speed, the aggressive morning news cycle, sugar.
It's wild, and we absolutely have to look at the dopamine impact here. Dopamine isn't just a pleasure chemical, it's a contrast mechanism. It tells us what is worth paying attention to.
Okay.
When you flood your brain with high-reward, low-effort stimulation first thing in the morning, your dopamine receptors get overwhelmed.
What happens when they get overwhelmed? Does the brain just absorb it all?
No, the brain downregulates. It literally reduces the number of active dopamine receptors to protect itself from the flood. And the devastating consequence of that biological defense mechanism is that normal, quiet, everyday life like reading a spreadsheet or having a calm conversation begins to feel unbearably slow and painfully boring.
So by trying to wake ourselves up with all this intense rapid-fire stimulation, we're actually creating the restless fog.
Ironically, yes. Constant stimulation creates the exact agitated fog that people are using the stimulation to try and escape. You feel foggy, so you scroll faster to wake up, which fragments your attention more, which makes your baseline lower, which makes you feel foggier. It is a vicious biological cycle.
To break that cycle, the source material gives us our final challenge. Habit number 10, give yourself 5 minutes of silence. Now, I will be the first to admit, this feels like the absolute hardest thing on this list for modern humans. Zero content playing, zero productivity happening. To many of us, it feels almost irresponsible or just deeply uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable because it forces you to actually sit with your own neurochemistry. But here is the core biological truth we have to face. People aren't just exhausted from their jobs or their physical labor, they are profoundly exhausted from never, ever mentally stopping.
But how does silence actually cure the fog?
Silence isn't just doing nothing. Silence activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state. It engages the default mode network in your brain, which is the exact system responsible for consolidating memories, processing emotions, and clearing out cognitive waste.
It makes a lot of sense.
Silence is active, vital recovery for your nervous system.
It's letting the engine physically cool down.
Exactly. If you run a car engine at the red line constantly, never letting off the gas, it will eventually seize up and break down.
And this brings us to the most crucial emotional takeaway from all the source material we've explored today. The real reason people feel foggy, the absolute tragedy of modern life, is that so many of us have simply forgotten what clarity feels like.
We really have.
We brush it off. We think, oh, I'm just getting older, or I guess I'm just lazy and undisciplined. But it is not aging, and it is certainly not laziness.
Your brain is a brilliant, highly evolved survival machine. When it becomes completely overwhelmed by the constant noise, the unending stress, the blue light, the cortisol, the fractured attention, it adapts.
Right.
It slowly lowers its own performance. It dials down the bandwidth just to protect itself from burning out entirely. The fog isn't a malfunction. The fog is a neurological shield. It is a defense mechanism against an unlivable environment.
That hits so incredibly hard. The fog is your brain protecting you from the noise. How do we start to clear it? Here's my challenge to you. Do not listen to this episode and decide you're going to perfectly implement all 10 of these changes tomorrow morning.
Please don't.
You will fail. Your cortisol will spike from the stress of trying, and you will just feel worse. I want you to pick exactly 2. That's it. Maybe it's drinking water before coffee and getting 5 minutes of natural sunlight. Pick 2, and do them consistently for 1 week. Mental clarity is built through small, repeated biological decisions, not dramatic overnight overhauls.
Be gentle with yourself. You are undoing years of environmental conditioning.
Before we go, I have a small favor to ask. Think of that one friend or that family member or that coworker who is constantly complaining, I'm just tired all the time, I can't focus. Share this episode directly with them.
Yes, send it to them.
Because their physical exhaustion might actually be cognitive brain fog, and understanding the biology behind it could be the exact lifeline they need. And if you found value in this conversation, please subscribe to the channel and leave us a review. It helps us out so much to keep making these for you.
It really does make a huge difference in helping us reach more people who need to hear this.
Now, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today as you go about your week. We talked deeply about how brain fog is often your mind's way of lowering performance to protect itself from massive information overload. It's putting up a shield.
Right.
But it makes you wonder, if your brain is willing to numb your focus and your clarity just to survive your chaotic morning routine, what other, deeper, more important areas of your life is your brain silently numbing out right now, just to protect you from the modern world? What else are you missing because the windshield is muddy?
Thank you so much for joining us, for exploring the science, and for choosing to live better.